Okay, guys. All right. So, my friends, I'm going to try to react and respond to a video by Cultish. Now, actually, okay, mic was on. Just making sure. Oh, okay, my mic was off. All right, hope you guys hear me. Okay, so I'm going to respond to a video. Well, I'm going to do more of a reaction, a response and reaction to the Cultish video. And I've only seen like the first 2 minutes. I did not see the whole video. So they released this 9 days ago, and I've and when it said Cultish, and when the title of their video is the same as mine, Cultish, Vladimir Putin and the Russian Orthodox Church, I'm trying to figure out what are they trying to say by this with Cultish talking about this, because Cultish believes in exposing cults. That's basically the purpose of their show on YouTube. And they're associated with Jeff Durbin and James White and Apologia Studios. And so Cultish, they would bring on guests who used to be in cults. They would bring in Mormons, former Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, other weird cults. And they're kind of okay to listen to. It's nice to be informed about all these other cults, but as an Orthodox person, it's all Protestantism in the end. It all came from Protestantism. But it's just interesting to listen to, and I'm just kind of surprised why Cultish is what seems to be they're taking on a political situation right now, a geopolitical situation. And so, and the title of their video is Cultish, Putin and Russian Orthodox Church. So I'm already getting a vibe. I'm getting this feeling that they're going to probably claim that the Orthodox Church is a cult. This is not the first time I've heard Protestants refer to the Orthodox Church as a cult, right? And it's kind of nonsensical. It's a very nonsensical argument, but I've also seen the first 2 minutes of this video. So I did not watch the whole thing. I watched the first 2 minutes. And already within those 2 minutes, I prepared myself ahead of time with some articles and some YouTube videos to kind of back up whatever I say. And so because the first 2 minutes I already was thinking, okay, these guys, I think I already know where this is going. And so it's good to be prepared ahead of time. And so let me just play you some of the video clips. Make sure my audio levels are fine. Okay. Okay, this is the Cultish video right here. Actually, let me double check something real quick. Gotta make sure everything else. Thinking, okay, these guys, I think I already know where this is going. And okay, cool. So it's good to be prepared ahead of time. And all right. So let me just play you. Okay, cool. So we are actually live on YouTube. This is good. Okay. Okay.
So help us understand. I'm very fascinated by this. So give us your thoughts. When I think of Vladimir Putin, I've jokingly said I'm surprised he hasn't been casted as a Bond villain in any of the recent Daniel Craig films. I mean, he just seems that he has the ideal part. I mean, he's this guy who's this former KGB agent. There's videos of him where he's doing PR stuff, where he's on a horse. He's riding a horse, totally shirtless and jacked. I'm sure no PEDs were involved in the involvement in the production of that picture. You have picture of him doing judo. There's pictures of him hunting white tigers, and he's almost this cult of personality. How would you Like when you first, how would you even begin to describe like who Vladimir Putin is?
He is a man who, as you mentioned, he was a KGB agent in the Soviet Union, and he is from a generation of Russians that came to prominence in the chaos that unfolded after the fall of the Soviet Union. And he is a particular kind of personality that is able to thrive in chaos in a way in which he is able to build a political structure amongst all the craziness that's happening. And it's a political structure in which the most evil people rise to the top. So, very evil man, very manipulative, believes he's above the law. This is interesting. His ex-wife wrote a book about, their marriage back when they were KGB agents, and she'd talk about, they weren't supposed to, but they just kind of up and left Germany and went to Turkey or whatever on vacation. No real regard for the law. So super corrupt. Um, doesn't hold to honest democracy. He and Medvedev kind of switched back and forth between two offices, so he's managed to get in.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where I have to intervene, and yeah, like already, like this guy is very uninformed. This guy's just repeating the same old talking points that a lot of these old boomer conservatives would repeat. Oh, he's corrupt, he's evil, and so forth. And like then he brings up his ex-wife, and so as if his ex-wife is a good source. I mean, it's interesting to know his ex-wife's perspective, but like most Russian people don't respect her because she basically just ideologically went parted ways with Putin. And if you hear any background noise, those are not gunshots. Those are just fireworks going off in the background. So just to let you guys know that. But yeah, this guy. He's talking about the chaos. So let's go right here. Let's go back right here.
In a way in which he's able to build a political structure amongst all the craziness that's happening. And it's a political structure in which the most evil people rise to the top. So, very evil.
So this guy, like the chaos that if he's referring to the 1990s, it was chaotic and there were evil people going to the top. That's true. But here's a question: why does he apply it to Putin? Like he's not applying it to Boris Yeltsin, America's ally. He's not talking about how Boris Yeltsin was basically America's puppet. And what's interesting, the evil people who made it to the top of Russia, they were the people the U.S. government defended. They were the people the U.S. government wanted to be in power in Russia because they were the most pro-democracy leaning people. And this guy mentions how Putin's anti-democracy is because Putin he did not fit in to that inner circle of people. He was associated with them, but he was not inside the inner circle because Putin had a different vision, because he knew that all these pro-Western people, they have no interest in helping preserve Russia. They have no interest in helping Russia reform it. Oh, I don't know if you guys heard that noise. Some motorcyclists going through my neighborhood. Okay, just give it a second. Okay, so Putin, he was associated with people who were rising to the top, but those top people were basically the people that the U.S. government wanted in power. Putin was not part of that crowd. He was not the insider. I mean, he was the insider, but he was not part of the clique. Like, he was just associated with them. And so this guy, what's interesting is that he's not even giving a proper rundown on Putin's life. Okay, now let's go back a little further before I continue about Putin. This guy right here.
How would you, like when you first, how would you even begin to describe like who Vladimir Putin is?
is able.
And begin to describe like who Vladimir, and he's almost this cult of personality. Oh, there's pictures of him like hunting white tigers, and he's almost this cult of personality. How would you like when
this guy is trying to make it seem like this guy's trying to make it sound like there's something James Bond esque or James Bond villain esque something about Putin, simply because Putin is hunting tigers, posing. Interesting. Well, don't all Western presidents do the same thing? They try to do PR. It's called PR. Putin's team is just really good at PR, right? And Russia does have tigers. You have the Siberian tiger. you know, like seriously. And plus, Russia does have an organization that's trying to preserve the last remaining tigers in Siberia because poachers have been killing them. But anyways, yes, it's called PR. Okay, what is wrong with PR? What is so villainous about this? And this guy, basically, I thought he was okay when he would cover other cults, but then just him, just going down to this level of just stupidity, of foolishness. Like right now, like he just looks like a soy boy. This guy looks like a soy boy. Like for some reason, people who are effeminate, they kind of go down to this level of insanity, right? Like basically, you have some people who are maybe like normal dudes, and then as soon as they start spewing dumb things like this, their image changes. They just automatically become like soy looking. And so like this guy, he's a total like soy guy if he's asking these questions. Like, what is wrong with Putin posing like a man? What is so villainous about that? That's alpha, right? Even if it's fake, even if it's posing, like even if it's just PR stunts. Like you have a president promoting, alpha traits. Like U.S. presidents do some similar things, right? But it's kind of GAY, right? But you have this alpha male saying, yeah, guys, this is what a man should be, right? What is wrong with this? This also inspires younger men to say, hey, if this old guy can look like this, why can't I look like that, right? It's just normal. It's normal PR, normal public relations. Western presidents do the same thing. But apparently when Putin does it, when Putin does the same exact thing, somehow it's just weird and unusual. Give me a break, soy boy. Give me a break, you soy boy, you effeminate looking man. Seriously, dude. I'm sorry, guys. I don't even mean to insult this guy. I don't even want to be mean to this dude. I don't. I was not able to control myself. But it's just and I probably was out of line just now, just like going after this guy like this. But this is what we're dealing with. This is how like frustrating the foolishness of a lot of these people with high quality microphones, high quality video, and with so much attention coming to them, and they're spreading misinformation. They're spreading stupidity to the people. And I used to think that it's just our media which is dumbing down the people, which is true. It's always true. But at the same time, not everything that's alternative media is correct. Not everything that's alternative media will tell you the truth. A lot of it is also just as dumb because we are a nation full of impressionable virtue signalers. Actually, we're not just impressionable virtue signalers, we are dumb, impressionable virtue signalers. And that's what we are. We're very impressionable. We take information at face value. And so this guy right here just wants to claim that Putin looks like a James Bond villain because he's a president who takes these cool pictures. Like every other president has not done that, apparently. Give me a break. Every president has attempted to do similar things, but they kind of don't look so manly, right? But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with these people who are misinforming entire crowds, entire audiences, right? Because they already have a huge following. They have a huge impact. I praised their organization Apologia for stopping abortion, fighting abortion. But then at the same time, okay, focus on that issue. It looks like geopolitics is not your strong suit, right? Because you are literally now leading people astray. You brought them in with the truth, and then at the same time, you're lying to them. You're spreading these people misinformation. You're dumbing them down now. So you got them by the hook, and now you're dumbing them down. You got them by the hook by fighting abortion, fighting, feminism, and you're fighting transgenderism as well. You got people by the hook. You have people following you, and what do you do with that information? You then spread misinformation. You dumb them down with your weird geopolitical take. So let's just keep going.
When you first, how would you even begin to describe like who Vladimir Putin?
Doesn't hold to honest democracy.
Okay, this weirdo, this soy boy. No, this one I will call him soy boy. No, not regretting this at all. Like this weirdo, this weird soy boy right here. Like he's saying that like, oh, Putin doesn't follow democracy. What, our style of democracy? What is democracy? It just no longer means anything. It's basically meaningless. And I'm just checking, make sure my mic is on, because it'd be so embarrassing if my mic was off and I'm just ranting all this. But anyways, this soy boy, like he makes it seem as if he gave like this perfect rundown of Putin's life, because apparently Putin's ex-wife wrote something about him, right? Okay, why isn't he mentioning how when Putin, when he worked in the KGB, he had a desk job. He was simply a translator. That was his job. He was a translator. Because Putin speaks German very fluently. He was in Germany working as a translator. And then, when the Soviet Union was becoming weaker and the KGB agents were being withdrawn from East Germany, right? Everything was being handed over to the Stasi to do all the rest of their work. Putin returned to the Soviet Union, and Putin literally quit the KGB like 1 year before the Soviet Union fell apart. Literally 1 year before the Soviet Union was gone. Like the Soviet Union was still pretty strong, militarily and everything. It's just that morally it was becoming weak, and it was trying to insert democracy and so, but it was still pretty strong in 1990s. Still, it was still kind of a threat. But 1 year before the Soviet Union fell apart, Putin quit the KGB. He ended up being poor. He had 2 daughters to feed and his wife as well. He was looking for jobs. He was doing taxi driving jobs. He was doing other jobs, like basically stuff that was like below his station. Then somewhere around near the end of 1991, he basically desperately was looking for a job, and his old professor, his old teacher in the KGB, was basically the mayor of St. Petersburg. And Putin was offered a job. He says, "Hey, I know you. Like we know each other, okay? And I know how, like you're like one of my best students. Yeah, I'll bring you on board to be one of my employees to work in my administration in St. Petersburg." And then Putin basically got a normal job in the city government in St. Petersburg. And so he worked for the mayor. He was in charge of other police work and so forth, because he had experience. He's a very experienced professional. He's a professional man working in his profession. Okay? This was not some kind of weird chaos that Putin was one of those evil people climbing up the ladder. The evil people going up the ladders, taking over Russia, were the oligarchs, right? They're privatizing everything. Everything's being privatized, and then once something was privatized, nothing was really done to advance anything. Many qualified people would quit, they would get fired, or they would just leave the country, right, and work in the U.S., and they'll just give up on Russia. And so that's what would happen. This soy boy on the screen right here will not know this. He will on purpose not to research this because he doesn't have to. He most likely probably believes like some stories that some weird Russian libtard told him, or he probably read some Russian liberal propaganda, which themselves don't do much research either, right? And so what's interesting is that this guy, he's on a Christian podcast, on a Protestant podcast. And this guy, I don't know, maybe he's also a Protestant Christian, right? And so if that's the case, then this just makes him look even worse because his sources of information come from the very same people that want to destroy his Christian values. And so this guy is a total soy boy. This is a soy boy right here. This is a cuck. Okay? I don't respect this guy at all for spreading misinformation for thousands of viewers watching Cultish right now. So whoever's watching Cultish, if you're if you're a fan of Cultish, you guys should unsubscribe immediately because they got you by the hook and now they're feeding you this information right now. This is totally not worth. This show's no longer worth it anymore. Like some of their old videos are probably worth watching as they expose other cults, but already at this moment, it's already 3 minutes in, 3 minutes into the video, and already there's nothing but cringe, soy boy, effeminate propaganda, left-wing liberal propaganda that wants to destroy Christian values. That propaganda is being inserted in a so-called conservative Christian show. Okay, well, here you go. So this is it. This is Protestantism right now. I should not even be surprised. Protestantism breeds liberalism anyway. But this guy does not mention this. He's making it seem as if Putin just out of nowhere, out of thin air, like sola scriptura, like all the Protestant folks who believe in sola scriptura, the Bible just came out of thin air and boom. That's why we know the Bible's true, because it just came out of nowhere. And this guy, he's using the same logic, the same Protestant logic. Oh, Putin was in the KGB, then he just came out of nowhere. He worked up at the top. Well, he was a professional in the KGB, right? He also, before he joined the KGB, read his university thesis, where he talked about public relations, international relations, diplomacy. And then, he worked in the KGB overseas, right? He has international experience. And the KGB was not just a secret government force spying on people and spying around the world. They also had different departments that also did with that worked alongside with police, just like the FBI would have units that would work alongside with the police in case there's some situation that the police need assistance with. This guy, Putin, Putin. He has the experience as a KGB officer, so he was hired by his boss in 1991 when Putin was desperately looking for a job to feed his family. Putin became poor. Putin quit the KGB 1 year before it was gone. Okay, he quit. He parted ways with that ideology, right? And this guy is not mentioning this. He's not mentioning this because he's not interested in doing any actual research. This is what a soy boy does. He does not go deep into the information. He doesn't study anybody. And here's the thing: I'm not a super big expert on Putin. I'm not. But every year, I would do some basic info on Putin. I try to. I even use left-wing sources. I use right-wing sources. I try to kind of weed out the lies, try to figure out where the truth is in between, and that's what you do, right? And Putin, basically, it's just logical. It makes sense because Putin started off small. Well, when I say small, post-KGB, when he quit, a year later, he started off small working with the mayor of St. Petersburg. That's political experience. And then he eventually works for the FSB, which is basically just the continuation or the successor of the KGB. So Putin works in the FSB. He He's close to to Boris Yeltsin by this time. Throughout the 90s, Russia is suffering. Russia is suffering in the 1990s, and Putin is witnessing all of this. Putin, like, he's not becoming super rich because of all this. All the evil oligarchs who are sucking Russia dry, and all the Western oligarchs who are basically friends with the Russian oligarchs, they're sucking Russia dry, and people are committing suicide. People are just not finding employment anywhere. People are drinking. The economy is down. Putin witnesses all of this, right? And so when Boris Yeltsin steps away as president, Putin takes over because Putin was already there. Putin already worked his way up. He was close to the president. Putin was able to pretend to be part of that inner circle, at least. Because earlier I mentioned that he was not part of the clique, because officially he wasn't. But the clique thought we could use this guy, this outsider, to manipulate and control him. And that's what Putin did within the first couple of years. And slowly, Putin's not playing the game anymore. He's no longer following the politicians who are beholden to Western oligarchs, who are beholden to Western stockholders. No, he's no longer playing that game. He pretended to be the puppet, and he cut the strings, and that's where all the hatred, all the lies, all the stories about him being a tyrant start popping up around. You could say, I don't know, probably in the very early 2000s, in like 2001, 2002, 2003, and so on, right? This world, the evil, tyrannical Putin, dictator, authoritarian Putin stories, they start coming out, right? And this guy, this soy boy, is buying these stories already. All right. And so just to back up some of my points, yeah, but so this guy, like, he makes it seem like that Putin just came out of nowhere. I'm going to play, like, first I'm going to play a clip by Douglas McGregor. Where is it? Can't find it. Why can't I find it? Oh, there it is. Okay, guys, enjoy this.
So is that why there is so much willingness, if that is a prevailing view that's being propagated not only to the president's daily, threat report, I assume, and to the president himself, then is it any surprise to you that senators are greenlighting billions of dollars for Ukraine? Because it's to defeat this evil, not to go Middle East on you, but to defeat this evil Satan that is the old USSR, Russia.
Well, remember, part of the problem here is of Putin's own making. At the beginning, because of the way he went in, it conveyed to the West this notion that, see, the Russians aren't serious. They're weak. They're weak. They don't know what they're doing. And then we flooded the airways with all of this propaganda about the Russians are stupid. And they described the Russians exactly the way the Germans described the Soviets during World War II, which, of course, was nonsense. I mean, I was in graduate school in Soviet East European studies, so I'm very familiar with it. And they literally lifted phrases and things out of books that had been written about the Soviet army in the end of the Second World War, and they were hurling this crap at the Russians. And everybody in the West, of course, was eager to believe it. Remember, we have the Cold War behind us. So it's not very hard to say, the Russians are really bad. Sure. Oh, yeah, right. They were bad a few years ago, so they must be bad again. That's part of the problem. But Putin went in. He was too easy. And it looked as though he was weak. Well, now everything is turned around. You've got about 750,000 troops focused on the Western military district in Russia, in other words, the Western theater. About 350,000 in the south. Now, where are the other 400,000? Well, some of them are tied up in logistical support infrastructure. Some of them are in missile, rocket.
Okay, guys, I went a little too far with that one. Got a little boring over there. Okay, so so you could see that basically, like, Russia's supposed to be painted as this evil villain, and Douglas McGregor just broke that down right there. And then right here is a very interesting clip by Scott Ritter. Now, I respect Scott Ritter. I'm not a fan of Fresh and Fit. Like, literally, I have a complete I don't really like Fresh and Fit at all, and I think they're fake alphas. I think their MGTOW stuff is cringe, but this video kind of started to kind of make me respect them more because they focus too much on worthless MGTOW fairy tales, MGTOW cringe. But here, they are focusing on something that's very useful to their audience. And I was just really surprised they brought on Scott Ritter to talk about geopolitics. And I even commented, I don't know if I could find the comments right now, but I commented saying, wow, finally, you guys made a stream worth watching or something. I'm paraphrasing myself. But yeah, and so I'm glad they brought in Scott Ritter. And Scott Ritter basically proves my point about Putin. So enjoy this.
This happened in Crimea during the Soviet Union. They were going to build a nuclear power plant, and so they had started construction on it, and then they recruited the people that are going to run it, nuclear scientists, physicists, high value people, good educations and everything. And so they moved their families into this city that they built for them. And then the Soviet Union collapses, and Ukraine says, we're not going to finish the nuclear power plant. So you have all these guys with their families with no job.
Yeah.
And one by one, they started jumping out of buildings. They turn on the gas and kill their family because they had no employment. Life was horrible, et cetera. That happened throughout the Soviet Union, or throughout the former Soviet Union, through the Russia.
People don't understand that. Putin remembers that very vividly.
Well, this is why when Americans are like, Putin, you don't understand. Vladimir Putin saved Russia. In 1999, Russia was getting ready to go down the toilet bowl of life because that's what we wanted. We wanted Russia to collapse. We wanted Russia to break up. And Putin said no. And he rebuilt Russia. So whatever you think about the guy, understand this. From the perspective of the average Russian in the street, he saved them. He gave them pride. They're not jumping out of windows anymore. They're living. I just came from Russia. Their economy today, despite the fact that we've been sanctioning them, is the strongest economy in the history of Russia.
That's facts.
It's never been stronger than it is today.
The ruble has been going up, and that's not.
They just had the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Hundreds of billions of dollars of international investment contracts were signed.
Wow.
Because the world doesn't care about American sanctions. The world is investing in Russia because Russia is a growth industry. I mean, it's under sanctions, so you can't do it. But if sanctions ever get lifted, I'd recommend people call up the economic developers in the city of Novosibirsk, the fastest growing economy in Russia today. You will make some money in Novosibirsk if sanctions are lifted, because that's what's happening. Joe Biden talks about Build Back Better. The Build Back Better plan. Well, Russia has a real Build Back Better plan. Every city I went to has construction going on nonstop. Their city planners have money pouring in. They're
Cranes
looking
in
for
the air
projects everywhere. Yeah.
Wow.
That's wild.
So let's.
Okay, guys, so that was the Fresh and Fit video with Scott Ritter. It's totally worth watching. I'm surprised Fresh and Fit actually decided to become smart. Maybe they've done other videos like this in the past and I just never seen them. It's because the YouTube algorithm always shows me the short clips where they're wasting their time trying to argue with these low-class women, and it's boring, it's useless, and it doesn't help you become alpha. Whatever they teach you guys, how you should be an alpha male and mistreat these women. No, so that's why I'm not a fan of Fresh and Fit. But I was really surprised when they brought in Scott Ritter, and I was just thinking, awesome, Scott Ritter is backing up my points right here that I'm going to eventually make tonight for this stream. And there you have it. So Scott Ritter and Colonel Douglas McGregor, they both literally backed up what I was just saying right here. And so this soy boy does not know this. He does not know this on purpose. He is not interested in the truth, this soy boy. He already has made up his mind. He will not listen. He will not listen. He will just listen to the left-wing propagandists that want to destroy his own Christian values. If this guy is Christian, I don't know if he is a Christian or not. But I'm assuming he is because he is on Cultish. He's being interviewed by the Cultish host. So I'm assuming this guy is a Christian. A Protestant, but still somewhat Christian, right? And I'm assuming that's what he is. But the information that he is using, evil, corrupt, Putin, that is left-wing propaganda from both sides, from Russia, from the West, from both sides. That is leftist propaganda, and propaganda from people that want to destroy his Christian values. So this soy boy is totally confused if he claims to be a Protestant, at least. Now, to be fair, like I've been ragging on Protestants for a while just now. To be fair, there are many Protestants who share my views, who have the same geopolitical understanding like all smart people do. Yes, there are Protestants like this, but unfortunately, a lot of these Protestants are not heard by their other Protestants. They're shunned by their fellow Protestants, and so unfortunately, those Protestants they're not heard enough, and like they don't have a platform like this weirdo Protestant right here. Like this guy is giving Protestantism a bad name because earlier I mentioned Sola Scriptura. Basically he's using the Sola Scriptura logic. The Bible came out of nowhere, and Putin just rose to the top like with this chaos. Like he's taking advantage of this chaos. He's rising up. BS, nothing but BS. You guys heard my rant. Then I played the Douglas McGregor clip for you. I played the Scott Ritter clip for you. Like that is the truth. What I said, what Douglas McGregor said, what Scott Ritter said, that is the truth. I've actually researched Putin. Look, I used to be anti-Putin when I was younger. Like back in my libertarian days, I was not a fan of Putin. I was not a fan of Putin himself. But the more I researched, the more I studied, the more logic I would try to apply, the more I realized, oh, this makes sense. This makes sense. This is why this is happening. And my Christianity, like my Christian values, I put my Christian values on the pedestal above my political ideologies. My Christian values came first. And guess what? Nothing in our system really matches our Christian values. And I don't care what Apologia Studios tries to say. They don't understand that the system that we are founded on eventually rots from the beginning. Okay, but that's not the point. Like my point right now at the moment, because we're only 3 minutes into this video, and already I'm ranting on this soy boy's comments. Can you believe that, guys? This is how we get misinformed people. This is how we get propagandized people. It's because a lot of folks don't do their own research, right? And here's the thing. I'm not saying believe 100% what I say. Okay, like if you don't believe me, fine. Okay, like at least you're taking the time to think about this, right? But like when you start doing your own independent research, actual research, you'll realize that, oh, wait a minute, this makes no sense because why am I getting information from people who want to destroy me? People who want to destroy my values, my Christian values, are also telling me that this person and this other person are bad as well. So I don't know why. So if this guy is a Christian, if this guy claims to be Christian, I don't understand why he's using left-wing propaganda. Okay, let's keep playing the rest of this. It's probably going to get worse already.
To be rather advanced. The degree to which we can trust these rumors is questionable. But if that's the case, then he could be on his deathbed right now, and he's at a particular point in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs where you just sort of live for self-actualization. He's like the extreme of that. So he's very evil. He's got access to a lot of weapons and stuff, and he sort of strikes me as just being a...
Okay, so I think I might have to skip over this because I've established who Putin is. I played the Douglas McGregor clip. I played Scott Ritter's clip. And we all know that Putin is not viewed as evil by the Russian people. He's not viewed as evil by Western researchers as well, who've done actual research. And like, it's just this guy's opinion. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's saying he's evil. He's not explaining why. He's not really explaining why. He just says Putin evil. He has access to nuclear weapons. Okay, that's your logic. Fine. Like, okay, I don't know if you guys hear that loud music. That's some people partying already. It's July 1st, but for some reason, people like to party early. Maybe it's because it's the weekend. And okay, so yeah, it's Saturday right now. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, I guess some people are just enjoying their weekend early. But yeah, let's just continue watching this. I don't know if I'll skip over, but let's see. Let's see what else he has to say.
A man who's able to play and do what he wants. So, with no real regard for the lives of his fellow Russians, he's carrying a lot of wicked acts.
Wow. Okay, what is this? Like, this could apply. Like, this argument could apply to Joe Biden, basically. Like, literally, doesn't care about his fellow Americans. Does what he wants. Obama. Like, seriously. Like, this could apply to anybody, any major politician. If you just want to hate on politicians, this could apply to any politician. This is a childish analysis. And I kept saying this earlier, soy boy, for the last 12 minutes or 15 minutes that I've been ranting. This is a soy boy cuck right here. Okay, I'm going to start skipping. I'm going to start skipping over. Okay, how old is Putin? Okay, patriarchy. Okay, let's kind of go right here towards this. Like, maybe they'll talk about the patriarchy.
Well, there's also like this very like patriarchal, like masculine aesthetic to it. I mean, just recently in the news that there was I don't know if you knew about it. I think there was a hockey player there was going to be a pride night or something like that, and he absolutely refused. I don't know if you knew about this, but he just stood on his grounds of being, an Orthodox Christian. And then I went to go find out later he was Russian Orthodox. But I mean, people just love the fact that he pushed back, and everyone, like on NHL.com, I think his jersey completely sold out of like all online vendors, because people all of a sudden they found this representative. But there
Good for
is,
him.
yeah. So there is the kind of like this
That's
very
an assault on marriage, and
Yeah.
he's standing up for a divine institution,
Right.
even if he's not a believer in Christ.
right. But yeah, there is sort of like this a lot of people. I think there is an appeal, sort of.
Okay, what does he mean that he's not a believer in Christ? Like, seriously, like if you're Orthodox, you're truly Orthodox, right? And you are standing up for your values. You are a believer in Christ. Okay, I'm gonna play the rest of this. I need to hear the rest of this.
There's a very masculine aesthetic and structure to it, and I don't know if maybe would that sort of play into like why Putin would sort of like utilize that to try and say, hey, this is a righteous cause to have the men go and be part of this sort of, from Putin's perspective, is it kind of like a holy war? Is he utilizing the Eastern Orthodox Church, or how are these two things like fitting together in this whole conflict?
The Eastern Orthodox Church, of all branches of Christianity, the Eastern Orthodox have the best beards. I mean, a Russian Orthodox priest has a beard that will it's great, man.
Yeah, I've seen them. They're pretty gnarly.
They've got some beards. They really do. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's all that masculine of a religion because of its mysticism and its feely goody. The devotion to Mary, the putting out Mary icons everywhere. I had an Eastern Orthodox friend who told me that that was helping him get in touch with his feminine side, which is interesting.
Hmm.
The thing with
Okay, so one Orthodox guy said he was getting in touch with his feminine side. Okay, that one Orthodox guy does not represent the entire church and the entire theology. Also, how's it not masculine to just respect the mother of Christ? She gave birth to Jesus Christ. How do you not respect the mother of Christ? Okay, and like also regarding the beards, it's not just Russian Orthodox priests. Okay, like remember, I'm already getting a feeling that I have not seen the rest of this video, but I'm already getting this feeling that they're probably going to treat Russian Orthodoxy as if it's a unique religion to Russia, to Russian people. Like I have a feeling that's what's going on here. That's already like I'm getting these vibes. Like I'm getting this feeling this is what's going to happen, that they're probably going to assume that the Russian Orthodox Church is probably unique only to Russian people, right? So like that's what I'm assuming is going to happen later on in this video. We'll see. But regarding the beards, it's not just a Russian Orthodox thing. Greek Orthodox, Serbian Orthodox, they have the beards too. So it's not just Russian Orthodox who have the beards. OCA, Orthodox Church in America, or I like to say American Orthodox, they have the beards too, right? It's just normal for Orthodox priests to just have beards, to look masculine. It's masculine to have a beard. And guess what? Look at this soy boy. Where's his beard? Like, seriously, this soy boy is going to talk to us about what is masculine and what is feminine without a beard. Okay, guys, look. Okay, I have to show you. I have to show you this. Look, look at this beard. See, this is masculine. This is alpha male right here. Look at this. Look at this beautiful beard. Oh, well, the stash, the hair, ooh. Yeah, the muscles, everything. The beard. See, this is masculine. This right here. See? Thick beard. Okay? Yeah, but look at this, right? Look this, comrade. Look at this beard right here. Very manly, very masculine. Okay, back to and look at this soy boy. Look at the soy boy being jealous that like the guys with beards look more masculine than him. Okay, yeah, and then so I guess one Orthodox guy said he likes to get close with his feminine side. Okay, does that represent Orthodoxy? When I was a Protestant, I've had bad examples of Orthodox representatives talk to me in the past, and luckily I've been smart enough to understand. Well, those guys don't actually represent Orthodoxy. Those are just individuals, right? They could be wrong. They could be misunderstanding their own church as well. Because when you're Orthodox, you're also learning. You're constantly learning something new, especially if you are a convert. Like, I'm former Protestant. There's still a lot more that I must learn about the Orthodox Church, and that is okay. There are so many church canons, so many church laws, okay? And so it's possible that the guy who told him this probably was a convert. I don't know. Maybe he was a convert, and maybe that's why he would say something like this, okay? And remember, the Orthodox Church, we embrace everyone who wants to repent and become baptized. And even soy boys like him, we will accept. And of course, it takes time for you to man up later on, okay? But eventually, you will also grow a beard. and be cool looking like us. But I'm kidding about that part. Like God loves us either way, beard or without a beard. But this guy, like seriously, still still the reason why so many of us grow beards is because we're trying to be traditional. We're trying to basically differentiate ourselves from the women. We are men; those are women. We have wives, and wives have husbands, and so forth, right? So it makes sense why Orthodox society is mostly focused, on beards, right? It kind of just makes sense. It's natural. Now, not all Orthodox have beards, and that's fine. That's totally fine. Okay, but get out of here with your jealousy and getting jealous that we could grow beards, and then saying, "Oh, Orthodoxy is not truly masculine because we pray to Mary and some guy told you he wants to get with his feminine side." Okay, wow, that's totally a good constructive theological argument. You have debunked Orthodoxy. You debunked Orthodoxy with this argument. Get out of here. Ugh, this guy. Okay, let's play some more of this.
With Putin and Eastern Orthodoxy is probably more related to tradition. So I mentioned earlier that the Eastern Orthodox world has a way of getting tied up into the government, right? So the Holy Byzantine Empire, the Holy Russian Empire, the Tsars of old were very much wrapped up in liturgy. Whenever a new Tsar.
Okay, so this guy, I think he's conflating the Holy Byzantine Empire and the Russian Empire. Well, first of all, the Russian Empire can be considered to be the successor to the Byzantine Empire. But first, I would like to mention that the Byzantine Empire always called itself the Roman Empire. They were the Roman Empire. And they were destroyed by the Turks in 1453 AD. So historians agree that the Roman Empire started around 37 or 27 BC, and then it fell in 1453 AD. 1,000 plus years of existence. And Christianity, the Christian Roman Empire, was able to last. And on top of that, the Byzantine Empire, which was the Roman Empire, they even recaptured Rome and held on to it for about 200 plus years. Basically, they took Rome back. They took Italy back. They even took North Africa back. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but I think parts of southern Spain too. So the Eastern Roman Empire lasted for another 1,000 years under Christianity, and it was a holy empire. Now regarding the church and states, yes, you have this double-headed eagle as the symbol, right? The double-headed eagle basically represents the church and the states, and the crown on top is the kingdom of heaven, like God. Basically, that's like God above the secular world and above the earth, basically, right? And you have the eagle representing the church and the state. They're equal but separate. So you have the states making their own secular laws, but then you have the church making their own church laws, right? And so basically, there cannot be a secular government marriage. It doesn't exist. If you want to get married, you could only do it in church, right? So that's how it functioned. I'm, of course, I'm not doing this justice. I'm not being 100%. Let's say this. I'm not being 100% accurate right now, but this is just this general example that I'm giving right now. That you have this church and state separate but equal, and it worked. It was symphonia. It was harmonious. It was together, right? It worked perfect. And then you have the Russian state rise up. The Russian state goes back to the year 800 when it was pagan. Then they converted to Christianity. Then of course there's the Great Schism. Then many years later, the Russian state slowly grows on one side and it decreases in the west because of the Polish invasions. And then you have the Roman Empire shrinking in size for multiple reasons, of course. And then the Ottoman Turks take over, and of course, like a couple centuries later, Russia becomes stronger and stronger, and Russia becomes basically this spiritual successor to the Roman Empire. Right? They have the double-headed eagle. They have this huge empire, right? So, and it worked pretty well for. If we're talking about the Russian Empire, just the Russian Empire that lasted 300 years, it worked pretty well. And before the Russian Empire, you had church and state right there. It worked harmoniously. It was not perfect. We're all humans. The Russian government, the Russian states, the Russian Empire, it was not perfect. No one has ever said that, right? It's still human. We're humans. But we could always strive to try to be good. And that's what it was. It was at least to try to strive to be good. And it was basically like a good empire. Then, of course, Western financed Bolsheviks came over and destroyed everything. And, of course, I don't think the soy boy knows this. Let's keep playing this guy.
Would be appointed. It was a big liturgical process, akin to what we saw recently with King Charles and the Church of England. So Putin is trying to, if you will, establish sort of a new version of the Holy Russian Empire, if you will, which tries to unite people on racial grounds as well as religious grounds. The expressed purposes up front are that they want all Slavs to be Russian Orthodox under the Russian Patriarchy, or at least Eastern Orthodox.
Okay, what is this guy talking about? Putin, unfortunately, is not interested in empire, right? He's mostly focused on trying to just rebuild Russia. The Russian government right now, in its current form, is still a secular government, and there is no official state church. Now, culturally speaking, do you understand what cultural is? Culturally speaking, majority of Russians living in Russia identify as Orthodox. Yes, but that includes people in the government as well. Most people in the government culturally, on a nominal level, identify as Orthodox. But Russia is still a secular state. The government is secular, and there is no official state church. It's just highly respective of the church, just like, let me remind you, the U.S. presidents, whenever they would say, "God bless America," right? There is no state church here in America, but the vast majority of every president in this country has been Protestant, at least nominally. At least nominally, every single president in the I got ahead of myself. Almost every single president in the history of the United States was nominally a Protestant. We probably had one or two Catholics. John F. Kennedy was a Catholic, and actually he's probably the only Catholic, I assume. But yes, the Russian state currently in its form is also nominal. It's nominally Christian, you could say, because of the people in power, because they're just nominally Orthodox. They're not fully Orthodox, just like a lot of presidents in the U.S. governments are not really Protestants, right? And Yeah, I don't know why this guy cannot understand this concept. This is so easy to understand if you have a brain and you dig deep enough. I don't know what it is about soy boys. Like they like, and yes, and conservative, so-called conservative soy boys exist, and this is an example right here. Okay, let's just. Okay, I think I lost my train of thought right now, so I'm gonna keep playing this guy. See if I can find it.
However, some problems immediately come out of this. One problem is that a lot of Russians from the Russian Federation are actually not Slavic.
Oh yeah, he mentioned earlier about the Slavs too. So like he says that like the Russian government wants all the Slavs to be Orthodox. I mean, me on a personal level, I wish everyone's Orthodox on the planet. Every single person on the planet, I wish they're Orthodox. But I don't see how the Russian government wants that as their goal, right? Because they are a secular state. So why would they be interested in making every Slav in Eastern Europe Orthodox? He's implying right here. It looks like he's implying, or the perception that I got, that it looks like he's implying that Russia wants to conquer all the Slavs. Wow. Historically, the only Slavs that the Russian Empire controlled was, Russia, Poland, and that's it. And the reason why I'm not saying Ukraine or Belarus, because Ukraine and Belarus never existed as nationalities until the communists created those two nationalities, Belarus and Ukraine. Okay? So before 1917, the only Slavic countries that were in the Russian Empire were Poland and Russia. Because Ukraine and Belarus did not exist until the communists created those two artificial countries. But this soy boy right here does not know this basic fact.
And not Eastern Orthodox, but rather they're Asiatic and Muslim, right? So the Republic of Dagestan, for example, and not Eastern Orthodox, but rather they're Asiatic. Purposes up front are that they want all Slavs to be Russian Orthodox under the Russian Patriarchy, or at least Eastern Orthodox. However, some problems immediately come out of this. One problem is that a lot of Russians from the Russian Federation